What's up, guys? This is Nico from Limitless, and today I'm joined by four other people to talk about the topic competitive Pokemon teams and competitive players. With me, I have Rahul Reddy from Team CCG Castle, Jasper
Whoa.
Eriksson from Team Limitless,
What's up?
Benjamin Pham from Complexity Card Gaming, and David, who used to be a professional player for Complexity Card Gaming and is now a judge and caster for Limitless. So first of all, to get like an introduction into the whole topic of professional teams, let's talk about how it all formed, first teams. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when we talk about teams? Like the first teams, Jasper?
Um,
I think CCG, actually, like the European CCG, were the first who came into Pokemon, like from Europe.
I think
No,
it was
I think they were
European
the
teams for sure.
they weren't the first though. But like when it started in Europe, you had a lot of very small teams who weren't really organized, who get like Cardmarket sponsorship. I think about Team Quaking Punch, the greatest team of all, and
Jade.
yeah, you had like Limitless also at the beginning, who got into this, and then like other smaller German groups. But it got bigger together with the bigger tournament price out in Europe as well.
Yeah.
So when we got money as well, and you also had and then you had CCG, who were the first who did it like on a bigger looking scale. And then the smaller teams kind of faded away. I think Team Quaking Punch doesn't even exist anymore.
It doesn't.
What is it?
Yeah, I don't really
Mono
know
Yola.
how it went in the US, but yeah, I think that's from Europe pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I remember a lot of like smaller European teams popping up before anything else. And then I think the first real, I guess, like team was like someone's PC, but they weren't like an actual team. They're more like a business. And then ARG kind of stepped foot in and brought in like actual money and was like, hey, this can be a possibility. And from there, more, I guess, organizations and people kind of started looking into it. We're still not as big as, I guess, how many teams you guys over there in Europe, but like we have a couple popping up and a few big ones.
Yeah, that's also what I thought. Like first of all, we had one sponsor pretty much that like sponsored everyone. So basically everyone started like messaging Cardmarket like, can we get a sponsorship? And they just went ahead. Like the most like notable ones that come to my mind if we talk about teams that like faded away or aren't as popular are like, yeah, of course, Team Quaking Punch, who was Manuel Jorach and some friends, and then second of all Card Leaders, which technically isn't even like a team. It's like a group of players that are from the same league in like Berlin. So they just started wearing the shirts. I don't even know what's like their sponsorship deal and stuff. So yeah, that's the first thing. And then the first thing that I remember from America is also like Rahul mentioned, someone's PC who like already existed because of their article site, and then like ARG as the first like major professional team. So yeah, that were like the past teams, and of course, as David said, with like more money, teams kept developing. We have more teams, we have bigger teams. So in your opinion, what are like the most prominent teams like worldwide? Not only Europe and A, maybe you also have like some other regions in mind.
I can tell you the ones I know right now. So in Europe you have the European CCG, then you have Limitless, and you have how are they called? Oh, 8-Bit Planet.
Yeah.
And I might be forgetting something, but these are the first three that come out of my head. And then for America, you have the American CCG, then you have ARG, and this I forgot how it's called. They're sponsored by Ultra Pro, something yellow black.
Pro Play Games.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, someone's PC. I might be forgetting something else, but that's all
Scoop.
that comes to my mind, I think.
Sacker Scoop, yeah.
Six prizes? Is that a sponsor? Oh no.
No, they're more just like a article site. They just have the swag and stuff. They're not a team.
Yeah, Six Prices, they look like a team thing. I actually like their design. from the
It's
shirt.
so cool.
It looks
really
cool.
like
Like they have the whole just very simple design thing, and then the shirts. Good idea. Whoever did this. Yeah, Sekor Soup. I don't even know what it really is.
They have like they're
It's
very
it's a YouTube channel, right? I thought
Yeah.
it's a YouTube channel.
It's Chumlee from Pawn Stars. He's like super. He has a lot of money and just sprouting money to some players, including like Sam Huff and stuff, and Paolo.
It's only 2 players, right?
It's only
It's like
those
Paolo
two,
and
huh?
Sam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pablo, right?
Yeah, Paolo Mesa and Sam Huff.
Yeah, those 2.
Yeah, but also like let's just stay at like these teams for a little bit for America, because in Europe we only have 2 like kind of teams. We have teams like 8-Bit Planet, Limitless, and Complexity, who are sponsored by either an organization or like a big sponsor and carry like their brand name. And we also have like semi-professional teams who also have big name players, like for example the Secrets, who have like mostly Spanish or only Spanish players, but also have like Pedro, who everyone should know. He won Oceania International Championships and also did well at other international championships, regionals and stuff. And but for America, we have also like these brands. We have Someone's PC, who's from like an article site, but still it's an existing brand. CCG Castle, who has an online shop. Then we also have stuff like Sekor Scoop, who is like a celebrity. Let's put it this way, because I think Chumlee is pretty famous, and he has like a YouTube channel and he sponsors the team, so that's like an entirely different story. So from that perspective, I think like NA is way more like developed in this point of how teams are accepted, and we can also like take a look at limitlesstcg.com. Shoutouts. At the
What a page.
Hmm?
What a site.
best side.
It's Charizard Lounge 2.0.
Is Chumlee paying it out of his own pocket, or does he have like
I think so.
Maybe he's also like he deals with like his
Some
YouTube
business or
channel and,
something, yeah.
pays him from his YouTube money. Or...
It's probably an investment, and he
Yeah.
he thinks it will pay out at some point.
Yeah, that's probably.
And I guess it's just fun. I mean, just imagine you have a lot of money and can open booster packs all day. I will do this.
he likes Pokemon a lot.
I know at Worlds he came with all of his friends and they were having a lot of fun.
I saw him like at Worlds. He was also like taking videos with some players, interviews. Seems like he's definitely interested. But yeah, as for like the ranking on Limitless, it's become like a very staple thing, pretty much in Europe and NA, that players that used to be like, well, not used to be good, because that would mean they aren't good anymore, but players that have been good before and still are good are like basically all of them are sponsored by a team or used to be sponsored. Because if I take a look at here the European top 10, the only 2 players that aren't sponsored right now are Mehdi Hafi, who used to be sponsored by Max Voltage Gaming, a team who disbanded already, and Jindrich, who also is technically part of a team, because some Czech people have like their Great Encounters team.
Oh yeah, true.
They wore the shirts on like Worlds, but no other tournament, I guess. So
Jindrich actually quit. Jindrich quit at the EOIC.
Oh, that's news.
Then the next person in line would be Martin, who is the same. He's also from Czech and he's also in the same team, so it's basically the same. So yeah, and
It's all country based, those teams, right? We have like Italian team and a Spanish team and a Portuguese
these are
team.
not the top 10 teams. Like this, what you are talking about is like the like, let's call them like friendship teams. I don't know how to put this.
Are we not a friendship team?
Yeah, we are, but to
and Jasper.
Like, I mean, we have. I mean, it started out as like from Limitless. Limitless started out at like only few friends who started the team, but now we took players we met after, or we only took or someone like Nick, someone like Nick, who wasn't involved with us as much as some other people. So that's like
but Nick
completely
is best boy.
But that's like different from the Secrets and Great Encounters and Team Italy are like the prime example. They have like 10 to 15 players that are all from the same country, all have been testing for ages. But yeah, that's like because Pedro is in one of the teams, that's because it's represented in the top 10. Otherwise, you have like 8-Bit Planet, we talked about. It's Todd, Jasper's brother Stefan, and Benjamin Barons Martinson, however you want to call him.
The Pokemon mentor.
Then of
Name
course,
is officially his name is Benjamin Lundved Martinsen.
okay.
Yeah, he changed it, I think.
Yeah, he changed it from Badens.
Nordic names are confusing. So then obviously we have Limitless, we have Robin and Philip, then like Pedro, Benjamin Barons is also in the top 10, then Maze from Complexity, and Gonzalo from For the Win, a team we haven't mentioned so far. They only have 3 players, if I'm not mistaken, all from Portugal. Don't know too much about this team. Does any one of you guys, Jesper or
I
Benji?
actually wanted to mention it before you said it. That it just came into my mind again. Yeah, you have Gonzalo, I think Paolo. And Diego.
Yes,
I think so.
Yeah, and these are 3. I don't know who they're sponsored by, but
The manager.
If I'm
yeah,
not
there is
mistaken,
also
if I'm not
a
mistaken,
team.
For the Win is actually a team that like existed before. They also have other teams.
Yeah, I think so as well. That it's like a brand which already like the European CCG, which just started Pokemon as well. Yeah, but there are like I don't know if it's local or not, because I mean if you start a team, you ask one guy and then you ask him to get other people and he chooses. Like I think that's how that works.
That's how we started.
Yeah,
and
you just ask, well, it's fine, and then
in NA is pretty much the same thing, just in a bigger scale. From the top 20, you have 16 players that are sponsored. Like the number 1 player isn't sponsored, it's Sam Chen, but if I'm not mistaken, it's like because of a deal he has like with his friends like Ross, Thorfinn, and who had like
himself, Ross, Mike Fouché, and I think one other, I don't remember who, but they're like X-Files, and they have like a deal where it's like if they ever get sponsored, they want to do their own team with their own money.
Okay.
Like they've had that thing where it's like they're like, but they'll like write articles and do other stuff, but they won't be like under a team banner.
Okay. Yeah.
It's Ninomura Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Sam Chen also was like on your stage, if I'm not mistaken, in Memphis.
Yeah, so, we offered the spot to him. We even offered a team spot to him, but he declined. We brought him on because he's a good friend of ours, obviously, and he has played our decks multiple times. And he's kind of like our testing buddy of ours, so we're just like, we'll just bring him on and see if he's okay with it. He doesn't really test; he just kind of panics the night before. But I mean,
everyone just loves Sam.
It's not really different in Europe. We also have like we talk in between teams, so it's not like limited to only the teams. So yeah. And then obviously you have like the rest of the top 20. It's Azul and Igor from CCG Castle, Jimmy, Ryan, also CCG Castle, yourself, also CCG Castle.
What's up? And
then you have like some teams like are presented one time. Chris Yakala from Dead Draw Gaming. Then Xander, which we clarified 60 cards, 6 price as not a professional team, but it's still like as some of them in Limitless, so technically he's also like from a team. Then Michael Premovet and Connor Finton from ARG, and then Pro Play Games Ahmed Ali and Daniel Altavila, and someone's PC, last but not least, Brett Kershio and Israel Sosa, and Kiana Mini as well. Yeah. So as you can see, in America, basically every big player, like even more than in Europe, has a team or has like a deal with friends to not go into a team or would be otherwise. And
that one exception just for Sam Check.
I don't know about the rest, because there's Aaron Tarbell. Didn't he have like a team?
He's on No Limit. He's on No Limit.
Yeah, No Limit. Okay, No Limit is not on Limitless yet.
They're like super new. Memphis was their first tournament as a team.
Yeah, so basically
he has to write us to get himself in.
So top 20, basically everyone is sponsored. So that's like a step, and then if we go further, most players are sponsored. So it's like in America, basically every good player or known player has a team. in America. And yeah, so we can see good players are mostly willing to take part in the team concept. So that's basically the first stone that's like placed to develop the thing as a whole. Because if you would only have like teams of friends or teams that like pick a random sponsor like Team Quaking Punch, okay, we have to mention them again.
Yeah, they're so influential. It's insane.
Yeah, it just won't grow the whole like team aspect. So yeah, let's just jump into our opinions on teams in general, as we're talking about teams right now anyway. So what are your guys' opinion on teams right now?
Oh, that's a very broad question.
Do you like them? Do you not like them? I mean,
I think
I would
they
expect you all to like them.
I think they exist,
it's
and
a
I
good
don't
thing.
particularly dislike. I didn't like them in the beginning because it was really ridiculous. But now with the new tournament structure, I don't mind. It's now a different game. Like before we had money at tournaments, it was very different from now. And now I think it's fine. But there are a lot of actually one thing I wanted to talk about was there is often an argument that teams grow the game, but I didn't really understood all the arguments. I saw on Facebook very often like people are like, teams are growing the game, but I don't really know how or what actually they're doing for it. Yeah, but I think it's cool. Basically, you have just cool people who have like a name, so you can just say team whatever, and then oh, it's this group of people. Better than just saying like, well, whatever. I don't know how you would call this, or just saying always Schulzes and Nico, what sounds really weird, but just saying Team Limitless is easier, and it's a cool group thing, and the whole sponsorship story is also, I think it's a bit different, and it's also for every team completely different. I think some have like a very weird sponsorship thing going on, some almost nothing, and some I don't even know what they're sponsored by. I think most teams I don't even know what they're sponsored by. I think the American CCG is kind of obvious, but then you have the ARG. I think I don't know. I know the ARG are doing tournaments. Is it just them, and then in Europe you have a lot of people with sleeves. In America, you have the Ultra Pro team, which name I always forget. I don't know. I know how their logo looks like, but I don't know how they're called. Yeah, so I think it's cool, but I don't necessarily think it's important in a certain way.
I agree. I think it's pretty awesome that we have it. But I think before it becomes even bigger, we need to have like a little more leeway because with the streams and stuff like that. Because if we want to bring in potential other sponsors and potential other investors, then like you need to be able to show off the brand. Obviously, like for example, I'm going to bring Hearthstone in. Hearthstone, like there's a lot of players that get picked up by Red Bull all the time, and like I have friends who like don't follow esports and stuff, but they see like Red Bull just picked up like a Hearthstone player along with like a X Games player, so they're interested. They want to know what it is, and like little by little you bring people in, kind of. But like I think our own stream kind of kills that.
No, that's true.
I think teams add to the game because they provide a lot of information and content, because they want to show themselves not only inside of the tournament, but also like on the internet and YouTube and their own website. So in that sense, they provide a lot of information for newer players. They become a familiar face. So maybe it's easy to talk to if you want to learn something, and etc. etc. So I think
the decklist thing is actually a good point. I realize that now, since you have so many teams, there's also always almost all decklists somewhere.
Yeah.
And often like a very long explanation, and you can always you're always up to date. You're actually right. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I don't know if this actually is getting players in, but it makes the game, I think, a bit more interesting, so to speak. Because now a lot of people copy lists and fall into the pit they dug themselves, because they're like, oh, I play this deck, but it's not like it's from the last tournament, so it's not up to date anymore. And then they kind of don't do well, and they're like, oh, what am I doing wrong? And yeah, but that's a complete different story. But yeah, it's pretty cool that you have these teams that are basically competing for attention. There is this, I forgot how it's called, but like war on attention on the internet, where basically everyone just wants you to look at your product as long as possible with like YouTube and Google and Facebook and Twitter. They just try to find a way to get you invested. And for teams, it's the same with the whole information stuff. Every team tries to get the best lists out, so they're more attractive. And before that, people didn't post their lists, like whatever you
Why
saw
would you do
about
that?
what they
Yeah.
play. Often people didn't even know exactly what people play. Like you were regional, still weren't really even played. And then sometimes you had like some tech cards in it, and no one knew that. And sometimes that went completely unnoticed. And this doesn't happen anymore. Like now you can post 1 month later what are the top 64 decks, and you get all of them. Yeah, so I think this is a pretty cool thing that teams kind of brought into.
Yeah.
Jesper?
Yeah, I think everyone went over all the good things about teams. I think it's really nice, especially from my point of view. As I'm not playing as much as I did last season, it makes it easier for me to keep with me within the game, and I think that teams give you a better testing group uh, as a player. And well, what can I say? Like, really, you went over everything, and team just makes the game better, just more skill. There you go.
I mean, you can talk about the downsides.
Well,
For example, Benji, what do you think are the downsides? The big contra.
Downsides. No, I really like teams actually. Maybe you put a lot of pressure on yourself because you have to prove yourself every time, but I think that's a good thing though. So
I guess that's already like put in place by Pokemon with stipends and money on the line.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
plus you're
I've
presenting a team, so you want to do well for your team as well instead of only for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, this is
always
one
have
thing
to
I
beat
find very
complexity.
interesting. For example, another pressure you add is like you will never do anything sketchy, because if you do
Yeah.
something problematic or like
Right.
controversial, you don't value you don't hurt yourself, just yourself. You also hurt your other
Whole
people in the
team,
team.
yeah.
You hurt your like market value as well, because you get less attractive for sponsors, and you hurt your whole team. So like even like small things, just playing in a weird way or playing sloppy,
But again,
is
this is a
something
good
you
this is a
don't
good
want
thing.
to do. So this is a pro, yeah.
Yeah, this is a
But
good
I
thing.
just realized it. I mean, like I think about this often, but of course, talking with people is a better way to figure these things out. So one negative thing is I don't know if this is actually correct, but some people might think that you need to be like you need to be like really good in order to play this game. So you have like a lot of sponsors and tournaments, and everyone has like something. You have like a great team, so it might feel weird to step into the game. Um, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is an argument that I heard from time to time. That it like if everyone's sponsored, for example, League of Legends, I don't even know how to get started. I just know they're like professional teams and world championships, and it just makes me. I think like yeah, whatever. I will never be able to do this anyway, so I don't even try. And the same for like Super Smash Bros. Melee. I don't know. I can watch it. I can watch it wherever I want, and there's always like the stream of really good players. But I don't know how to get invested, and it looks really intimidating. I'm like, yeah, I can't. I don't know how to get started. Um,
I
yeah, I
don't think
don't
it's
know.
intimidating though. I think it's
Yeah,
motivating.
because for Pokemon it's also a bit different because of the league system, and they're like how this is advertised by Pokemon is a different story. But you can always just go to the local league and then just play for fun. And if you always win and you're like, yeah, now I might go to a tournament, and then you can wait a year if it's nearby or not. Or if you're like on PCGO and have like a 100 win streak, and you're like, yeah, maybe I can win against these guys as well. And also you have like a luck component in Pokemon as well, which you don't have in these other games. So yeah, this might not be a big factor.
Yeah, but actually, the last thing you said about the luck factor is actually why the comparison to other esports like things don't really fit, because if you like getting started in Smash or League is impossible. Like it's impossible to get like pro in 2 weeks technically, because you just won't be as good as everyone else, because you have to get like the experience, you have to know all your combos in Smash, you have to know what your champion does in League. And in Pokemon it's like, okay, I will just pick up a deck that did well at a tournament. I have these cards. I don't have to like have experience to own these cards. And then technically you could practice your deck for 2 weeks straight on PTCGO with friends, and you could technically be on a level where you could win a regional championship. Of course, you would have to get lucky, and that's the aspect why I don't think teams should be intimidating to newer players, because you always have a chance at Pokemon. Because you're not like competing in a fist fight technically, where you have like imagine Jasper fighting against, I don't know, a wrestling pro. He would have no chance.
He'd get beaten up for real.
Yeah, sure.
He would
Just
just sit
imagine
on
like
you.
Hulk Hogan playing Pokemon against you.
Yeah, then
Like, bro, I'm going to draw 2 prize cards now.
I think it's really
sounds
nice that you
amazing.
can play against like the pros in Pokemon. Imagine if you were like a football player, you can play against Messi. It's like the same thing, right?
yeah.
I don't think it's the same thing, but
Yeah, but
I
it's not Messi is not intimidating. Messi
Well,
is.
you
It's
could.
nice to play against, right?
It's more
always
to
a
draw a comparison to Ronaldo instead.
You'd enjoy it like from the beginning to the end.
It's always a possibility. For example, I could go like to my next League Cup in whatever, in Nuremberg or whatever, and I could play against Philipp Schulz, who was rank 1 at the end of the season last year. And in League of Legends, I could never like, I will travel to Korea, I will go into solo queue, I will never hit Faker. There's just zero possibility. So yeah, that's also a good point for Pokemon, because the professional players are way easier to reach.
Yes.
I mean, you have like in Europe, you don't have players that are basically unreachable. But from my experience, I don't know how it's from the perspective of North American players. Someone like Jason Krasinski always seemed like unreachable, even if you were at the same tournament, because he won Worlds 3 times when Worlds was way more respected than now.
Skillful.
I mean, even now, Worlds winning Worlds, unless it's in the senior division, is really respected. So even like a Diego Casiraga is like on a very high scale now. I watched recently the video from Seagrove, or however he's called.
Seagrove. Yeah.
He has
Day
like
of the year,
He
right?
has like a three in there, however you call him. But yeah, him and Pokestats still like the player of the year, and immediately, just because Diego won Worlds, I mean, he also did well at like internets and his own regional championship, but he was immediately like one of the top choices for player of the year. But yeah, he's still ages away from Jason, and even someone like Igor, who made Worlds finals 2 times, won it once, made top 4 another time, won multiple regionals, did well at basically everything you can do well with.
5 top 8s in a row.
He's still like below Jason, and also Premovit. No one is like on the Jason Krasinski level, like from a European view. I don't know how North American players see it. Maybe Raul can enlighten us.
Speaking of the
enlighten
video,
us.
I just got like
In the dark.
like first year master just got stripped off me.
So like I think a little bit of what you guys are saying kind of showed up at Memphis. I don't know if we can just jump to the team stages. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Sure.
So like when we were at the team stages, I know there's a lot of backlash on the internet community from people who weren't at Memphis, but everyone who was at Memphis actually really, really enjoyed it, because even players we played against and throughout the day would be like, come up and like they would know where to find us. They'd know where to come say hi, come take like a picture, talk to us about decks, talk about their ideas. Normally, like they'd feel a little intimidated if they just saw me walking around to stop and talk to me. But like if they got the chance to play against me, or like any of the other people on the stage, like Igor, like Russell, someone like on a team, they had a good time. Nobody ever really complained unless like it was like a bad beats loss. Everyone's like I distinctly remember someone played against Ryan, I think round 2, and literally the first thing he said was like, he's like, you know, like I got a chance to play against you, and like I'm not upset that I lost to you. It was like a learning experience kind of thing, and I'm like, cool, like nobody's like actually too upset about this, and like we were not too high up, we're like 2 or 3 feet up, like 5 maybe because there was like a little small.
We don't
stairs.
know what a feet is.
Oh,
We're
free
from
feet is a
from
meter.
sorry,
that.
we were like half a Jesper up above the ground.
Oh, wait, I think that's a good thing. I'm tall.
So anytime like any like I guess fans or like newer players wanted to see what was going on, they could literally walk over to the stage and they'd have a perfect view of our field, perfect view of what was going on. So it was like being on a stream game kind of, but like you could actually watch the games. So like they got a chance to watch everything we were doing, how we were playing, and like the crowds got pretty big at some points throughout the end of towards the end of the day, like round 7, 8, 9. The crowds were pretty big because almost everyone on the team stages was still in contention for day 2, and like some newer players are probably eliminated, unfortunately. So they want to come watch, see what they're doing wrong, see what they want to learn, kind of thing. And I think I had like 3 or 4 people come up and be like, "Hey, like big fan, like photos, that kind of stuff." And that's like, it's kind of shocking that like that happens now in Pokemon. Like it still like blows my mind, just like that people want to come take pictures with me and stuff like that. And so it was cool, and I think in Memphis everybody really enjoyed the team stages. Everybody who got to play against us, nobody had a gripe. I think there was like 1 or 2 people who felt like super overwhelmed just because it was like their first tournament and they didn't really understand the concept of like a VIP seating. So they were like, why do we have to move, that kind of stuff? But it's just a regular VIP seating that people really enjoyed. So I think that's why teams are super hype, because like you go up to like NAIC or something and like a US player could be like, oh, that's Philip Schultz, like number 1 in the rankings. Like, let me get a picture with him, that kind of stuff. So.
Do you think there will be team stages at other tournaments as well, or do you think it was like a one-off thing and it didn't really pay off?
I think from an owner's perspective, it didn't pay off to the point where they would like it to, because it's supposed to be like a big advertising venture at the end of the day. But I think a lot of the investment doesn't show off on the return. So I think even if there are team stages, they won't be as widely popularized unless someone like, say someone's PC Russell was on the stage, and as the owner, I know he said he had a lot of fun and he'd probably do it again. So if like the team members lobbied for it and maybe helped pay out of their own pocket for it, it might be more successful. I think a lot of organizers will be hesitant to do it just because of kind of the online backlash that it got. But I think there'll be some sort of similar concept moving forward, like with VIP tables. All I remember is you first. Go ahead.
I think there was like an online poll, right? Asking I think most of people liked the team stages actually.
There's a lot of complaints on him. I know like VIP's always been somewhat of a controversial topic because you're paying a little extra to get more benefits. And I remember the most controversial was Toronto Regionals last year, where everyone who paid VIP could basically see the clock, and everyone who didn't really couldn't.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And that was one of the arguments. That was one of the arguments against us being on the stage, because they were like, the guys on the stage can see the clock clearly because it was like straight ahead on the stage. But if you were playing, you'd have to like turn left or right to see it really quickly. But like it wasn't I don't think it was a big deal because there was like 3 big clocks, like the Nationals clocks, and so you could see them, and they weren't a big deal. Everybody had access.
But clocks are always a different problem, I think.
Yeah,
we had a lot of problems with clock. We still have problems with the clocks.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's
let's get back to the poll real quick, because what I think was very interesting about this poll, that the 2 like most popular answers were like, I liked the team stages and I was there, and the second most popular was, I didn't like this like the stages and I wasn't there.
Hello.
So actually it's actually like only people that weren't even there to like get their own impression were like against it, and almost everyone who was there liked it, because I think actually the least popular vote was like, I was there and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I guess overall you could say team stages were a success.
Yeah, there was like some players I know that had their suspicions because of the whole Zhao Zhao incident, where it was like people on this team stages can be using like being on a stage to cheat and that kind of thing, because you're like hidden away from everybody else for the rest of the day. But I think it was the opposite, because I felt like I was under a magnifying glass the entire day, because I had like there were stage judges, and there was specifically the fans could come watch. So it felt like I was on a stream game every single game, as opposed to like I'm in a corner, I can do whatever I want kind of thing. So yeah, and the people who weren't there kind of just like, this sucks, and I'm like, oh, should have been there.
Yeah, would
I mean, there are like people. Am I echoing? Well, there are like people who said, I mean, if he was there and it got only caught because of some person sitting somewhere else, it wouldn't have got caught, which, I mean, is an argument you should think about.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you pay extra money, and I believe that this money should make the organizer pay one extra judge. I mean, judges aren't that expensive, to be honest. So if you have like a lot of VIP seating players, I think a part of this should go into having one person specifically go there and also rotating it, especially because of this. I voted, I didn't like it and wasn't there, obviously, for the poll. But my problem is not specifically with VIP stage, with the team stages. But I think the VIP seating thing is a bit weird because you pay for a lot of comfort, and other people have this discomfort, and this discomfort is what makes Pokemon tournaments especially interesting. And I actually made a poll, a poll on Hey Fonte, where I asked, these tournament specific inconveniences. Do you think that this is something which like should a Pokemon player have? And the majority of people said like, yeah, you should be able to deal with these things, which I found a bit weird because if you should have to deal with all these inconveniences, but can also pay out of these, I thought it would be split. Like if you think having to deal with like running all day and having a stressful time and always sitting somewhere different is something you should be able to deal with to win a tournament, then I think it's really weird that you can just pay money to not get it.
Yeah.
But if you think this shouldn't be something, which a lot of players actually also did. Also, a lot of players I know, but it was kind of split on this poll. And if you say like, yeah, of course, every player should just have a great time, as good as possible, and this should be the organizer's biggest goal to make every game just as great as if you're playing at home. Then I don't really mind VIP stages, as long as there's like, I think one extra judge should just be there to make sure that everything is going well. But other than that, I mean, a lot of players also had the argument that it is intimidating, which I can understand, but I don't think it's very different from playing against someone
At a
from
regular
a team
table.
at a regular. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I never really, I don't really have this experience, so it's a bit different. But because I never played against someone I felt like a bit intimidated by, but I had these people, like after the tournament, who told me they were a bit intimidated by me because apparently if I don't spend attention to it, I look really aggressive.
like
But
the
this
Pikachu in
didn't
the
matter
background.
where I was sitting. Yeah, exactly. I was like this. No, but I don't think it's a big difference, because if you play against a great player or a well-known player or someone who looks very terrifying, it doesn't matter if they sit left and right to someone who is also a great player, because this great playerness doesn't infect your game.
Yeah.
And also one very little side thing, which also because of the VIP things, everyone is sitting in one line. But if two players, especially at the end of the day, like just imagine two players from the same team get paired, play a table 5 and 6. So if they match each other, but on the opposite side, this looks really suspicious, because they could, in theory, like give eye signals about the other's hand, about the other's hand kai. But this is not possible if you have like the whole team lined up, and which I thought it's like, yeah, it's also a bit good thing for this.
I think
Yeah,
the
we-
opponent was allowed to choose, right? Where
I gave my opponent the choice to choose, but they never like asked me like for a specific side. They just always sat on like they always sat. Everyone sat on one side, and I was like, it's of course so you can see the clock. I don't care.
So you couldn't see the clock.
I mean, I just had to like turn left and I saw it. It was fine. Like I would just be like glance left. Oh, I see the clock. We're fine. I never used it because it was too far and I'm kind of blind. That's why I wore glasses.
How far were the different teams from each other actually? Were they close?
Like three. Each stage was like 3 or 4 feet apart.
Like half a
Oh.
Jesper, right?
Yeah, half yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like I could jump from one stage to the other.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
So
Which I did a few times.
That's like regular tables as well, or is it just like regular tables on the tournament as well, or something?
It was just like a bunch of tables. Everyone had like, imagine like for VIP seating, we had like a table like a table and a half kind of thing per person type of thing. Like not like a full table, like 3 tables for every 2 people, I think.
More room.
We had a lot of room, and like.
Yeah, this is also like what I said. You pay extra just for the room and for the conveniences.
It's like
but
playing
this is
first class
just
flight. It's the same.
But this is just a problem with the VIP thing, and it doesn't really matter if the whole team buys the VIP thing or if just one person buys it.
There also VIP seats without the teams, just like solo.
Yeah, there was regular
exactly.
VIP seats.
Yeah,
there was regular VIP seats. And like one good thing they did with us is like we weren't allowed to linger on the stage when our games ended. So like we weren't allowed to like sit at the chair. Like we would have to get up and like walk off the stage, and so we couldn't like sit and watch our friends' matches. Even I mean, you could still see them obviously because it wasn't that hard to see, but you would have to like get up and get off stage. So I would always finish my game, like grab a drink out of my like bag of like sodas or whatever, and I'd like go for a walk, come back.
Yeah.
The unlimited water all day was pretty sick though, because water's expensive for some reason. We can't bring in outside water because it's stupid.
It's healthy stuff in US always super expensive.
Yeah, they want us to be fat.
Yeah.
That's actually so true.
It's a conspiracy.
It's crazy, yeah. Like
So
the
you guys
more
have
sugar
lunch
something
breaks.
has, the less expensive it is.
Yeah, I'll be like, I could buy this bag of chips for like 30 cents, or I could buy like a bag of fruits for like $5. No, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll take the chips any day, huh? And a gym
Twice.
membership.
But getting back to like the intimidating and cheating accusations, I'm completely like on your side of view because first of all, like as we talked about before, if you are in a team anyways, you tend to like cheat less because if someone sees this, imagine like someone on the team stage would cheat and would get caught. The entire team would immediately be like in a bad point of view.
Will be found upon.
And, I mean, we all know that there was one person at the same tournament who got caught cheating, who didn't have VIP seating, who wasn't in the team. So that's obviously like not the case that that team stages or teams in general like promote cheating or similar stuff. And also like the sitting next to each other. I remember in Turin, in the 5th round, actually Robin, Philip, and me were all sitting next to each other on table 1, 2, and 3. So that's basically, if you want to avoid stuff like this, you would technically have to scramble all tables around the room. You can't have people
like
sit next to each other.
Mario Party.
If you see like someone, or I know that this person knows this person, we have to move them in the other side of the room and stuff like this. Also, the intimidation factor, as you said, well-known players or people who look intimidating, they already have this factor, and you can't just ban someone for how he looks or ban someone for his accomplishments. So all these kinds of stuff, they can't be eliminated. But what I also agree with David, that VIP seek in general, like for single persons, like not as a whole team, it seems kind of weird because of the mentioned disadvantages you have if you have normal seating. But I mean, you have to adapt to it. If you play the tournament, if you ever played like in Euro, you will just know it. There will just be stuff that drains your energy. Like Europe, for example, in the UK, basically every tournament is super cold. You always have also Turin was super cold, or you have stuff where you also can't bring drinks inside, as we had in Bremen. And you would have to buy like a small Coke for €2.
Could actually bring it in
later on, not at the beginning, and all that stuff will always be there. So like VIP seating as a single person, I also agree with David. It's not a good thing, but team stages, I do like it, but maybe that's like biased because we all like are on teams and we would like get to abuse it if you would want to put it this way. But I think it was a great idea, and I also think it Memphis proved that the entire thing worked. Or were there like any real issues that people really had that were there, played against them, or like some other got in some other way influenced by the team stages?
Oh,
Could you repeat the question? I don't really get that.
Was anyone affected in a bad way by the team stages who was
I
at
don't
the tournament?
I don't think so. Like, I the only thing I can think of is that No Limit Gaming had one junior on their stage. So I think that was a little confusing for juniors because they didn't really know or like understand the concept of VIP seating as well. So that might have been the only thing. But I think from a player perspective, I don't think anybody was negatively affected by playing on stage. I know a couple of us had a little bit of nerves because again, we had to like represent the brand, so we couldn't do anything like wrong all day. We had to make sure our play was pristine. We had to make sure all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of players that played us didn't have any problems. I don't think anybody actually complained. And between the stages too, I know that question came up a few times. If somebody from another stage had to play somebody, like we're adults, we can kind of just be like, hey, am I coming over there? You want to come here? And we'll just be like, okay, cool. We'll just move. I don't think.
Long
I think
distance games, dude.
yeah. I think someone's was the only stage that had to play someone on their own stage. And they just moved. And like I know Russell and Ryan had to play, and Russell was like, I'm gonna come over there, and Ryan's like, it's fine. And then like someone from our stage had to play ARG, and they're like, we'll just come over there, and they're like, it's fine. Like nobody had like it wasn't like a hey, I have to sit at my stage. I'm sure they could have been like a way to determine at the end of the day, but
you're not attached to your
Just
seat.
be like, I want a refund right now.
I want my money back.
Free somewhere else.
We can see the poll, right? Not many people voted for. I was there, and I don't like team
Exactly.
stages.
and then a lot of people like I think like the experience. I know like a lot of people on our stage really enjoyed it because of the free stuff we gave out, which I don't think other stages did. But like I know a lot of people were like after they beat us, like I know they like were a little sad, like they lost to us or like that kind of stuff, and then we'd be like, oh, we're giving you a T-shirt and some dice, and they were like, oh, cool, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We had a lot of extra T-shirts at the end of the day, and I know a lot of people who weren't on the stage or didn't get a chance to play us on stage came up and like asked us if they could have one because they wanted to like just say they were here and they like enjoyed the experience. And I was like, yeah, just what size are you? And I just handed out a bunch of shirts because we got like 400 shirts and there was way too many.
Yeah, but so overall it was definitely a success, right?
I think overall it was pretty good, better than bad because if I had the opportunity to do this again and our team was willing to pay for it again, I think I would do it again.
Just
So
waiting for Team Station Leipzig.
so with yeah, let's get to Europe because we had like the positive example in North America. We had Memphis who was really supportive towards teams, but on the other hand, we have Europe, which
They hate
is
teams.
like the entire opposite of
Memphis.
promoting teams. And yeah, for example, we aren't allowed to have any like team shirt or similar stuff on stream.
Logos,
We
brands.
are even
Oh.
forced to play Pokemon T-shirts if we have something like an Adidas or Nike logo. So it's already going this far, and
That's basically every shirt.
yeah, and like on the other side you have North America where we from Rio obviously watch the streams of these regionals, and also before Memphis we could see CCG Castle or Pro Play Games having like I guess Altavilla was mostly forced to wear a shirt because I don't really remember him on stream with like a Pro Play Games thing, but like CCG Castle was often on stream wearing their hoodies, and
Yeah.
like also which was like from North America the video about Robin and Philip that was shown at Worlds and Indianapolis, where they actually only blurred out the links on the front from our Limitless shirts and like the links on the back. Actually, mostly everything
Same with
else,
me.
you could actually see. So I guess that proves TPCI of North America approves that
Yeah.
this can be a thing as long as you don't promote like links and websites. But in
Yeah,
Europe,
that
it's
was like the only rule. I remember I talked to one of the stream guys when we were designing our jerseys and hoodies, and the only thing they told us was don't have any links and don't have any like direct
Pokemon
things that could be
logos.
linked to Pokemon, like Pokeballs or like Pokemon.
Pikachu's.
Yeah, like just on your shirt. They just said make sure there's no .coms or and make sure there's none of that, and you guys are good to go.
Yeah, that's also something I remember floating around at the beginning of last season, where they told us you can't have like fake Pokemon logos. Like for example,
Yeah.
we had a Pokemon Cardmarket on our old shirts and our jackets, so that was like a no go. And yeah, obviously links. But now it's like if you have like anything that's not a play Pokemon shirt or like a plain white T-shirt, basically you have to wear something else. So I guess that's kind of extreme, and I don't know if it's actually the rule that we can't wear it or if judges are just careful. Maybe David can explain it because he actually is a judge.
Yeah.
Or
So
do you
first
also
of
not have
all,
an explanation?
the person with the decision is not a judge, and you have like a production crew, and they just look at the shirt and they're like, yeah, okay. Actually, Ingo is doing this.
Yeah,
Ingo
but
has...
I don't understand it because Ingo, I talked to like Ingo like several each time I went on stream. I had to like switch it to a play Pokemon shirt and when like
No, Ingo just asks with the person. He speaks with the person in the back,
I mean, he
and they
also
check
can't
it.
make
With,
the decision on the phone.
why
he
won't
doesn't make the decision, but he's the guy who manages it.
yeah, but
And
why wouldn't the production crew from Europe talk to the NA production group, be like certain on a set of rules, be like
okay,
this is
so
what you may have on your shirt and this is what
I
you
will. I won't tell you like any specifics, but just think about it this way: in North America, the law you have to take care of is the American law. But
Yep.
in Europe, you have a lot of different countries with a lot of different laws, and it's
not that.
it's the easiest and less risky thing to just tell everyone wear a Pokemon shirt than take any weird risk. I mean, every stuff changes so fast, and it's a lot of it's a very different and difficult to keep track of all of this. So I'm pretty sure they don't need to do this, but there is no advantage of them risking anything. And if there is one company in the world which doesn't take a risk, then it's Pokemon. Because if they take a bad step and their brand gets dirty with anything, then they're like out. Because like Pokemon, I think is the brand without any dirt on it, which
Yeah.
they caused. Like you have crazy religious people who think it's the devil's work, but other than that, they didn't really
They're Danish.
do anything problematic. And the reason is because they don't take risks. And I think this is the most important thing is just in Europe, it's not worth taking any risk. In North America, like they have this. In North America, they do this for a long time, and they only need to take care of the American stuff. Also, Twitch is an American company. They stream from America through America to America. So they don't have to take care for too many things. But in Europe, you're in, let's say you're in Spain, streaming through America onto people in Germany, and then you have a lot of brands with also weird laws. So, for example, in German TV shows as well, they also, if they use like an Apple MacBook, they put tape on every logo just because they don't know, maybe there is something problematic there somehow. So they just blur it out, whatever it is. And I think, yeah, this is a
So
Can I
it's
say
basically,
something?
so it's basically Germany's fault. That's what you're telling me.
not necessarily.
Always
No,
Germany.
I'm just
Ban all
saying.
German
Think about it.
players.
Think about it this way: Pokemon can take a risk, or they cannot take the risk.
Yeah, sure.
If
So
they take the risk, will it pay off or not? And
Yeah,
probably it won't. It won't directly earn them anything if they put like your logo. Like if they let you play with your logo on the shirt, it won't help them in any way. But maybe your logo links to like a very illegal website, and then
Yeah,
they out
Limitless
of all sudden
TCG.
they're promoting illegal things, and then
I
they
disagree though,
they
actually.
might get a problem, and this is
Um,
what I think is the argument.
I think I disagree because we agree that teams are good for the game, right?
Yep.
yeah.
So we're
I
promoting.
mean, we agreed that it's great if you're already in. So like if you know stuff like Hey Fonte, Verbank, or I don't know, maybe like if you're on Twitter and you know where to look, then
Yeah,
it's
but
great.
if you see a team logo, you can just Google it, for example, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you don't know Hey Fonte, you can Google it, and maybe eventually you get on the right sources, websites. So it's good. It's good for the game to promote teams because teams promote the game. It's like a circle.
Yeah.
So that's why I think teams should be promoted by Pokemon as well. Last season, actually, from Complexity, we asked what was allowed on shirts, and they were like, what Rahul said, like no Pokemon related issue, no links. So we made separate shirts without any logos, just the team logo, and even that was not allowed, even though we made them special according to the rules they were given to us. So
I mean,
I really don't understand why.
the way the sponsorship gets in people is usually actually like Rahul said with the Red Bull, for example. So you have like a big brand, and the brand has some following, and then because of the following of the brand, people get attention to the game. But I don't think it's realistic to assume that Pokemon at any time will make ties with any sponsor, because then they had to tie in with a different brand they can control, and they have to get lucky. And if you look at other partnerships Pokemon did, they were always like very small, or they produced like one product together with a different, like the Builder Bear. What can go wrong there? And they just produce like one Pokemon thing. But if they get like together with other brands, and then the brands has problems, I think this is something which should be thought about, because I also think that this is a great way to promote it on like different levels. Especially, a lot of people are skeptical of these game tournaments, whole kind of thing. But it get kind of legitimized if big sponsors go into it. So you have like esports, and a lot of people just think esports is a great thing because some kind of company they like sponsors some kind of esports game.
I
But
understand, but for now we only want to show like our team logo on the streams. We don't represent a sponsor at the moment. We're only representing our team with the logo. So I don't understand why that's not allowed. I don't see any troubles in showing that
Yeah.
on the stream.
It's like as David said, no risks. But on the other hand, several times I've got on national TV and stuff with logos on my shirts, and there's been no issue.
Yeah,
I
but
just
that's
don't see why.
Danish national TV. That's like 10 people
Yeah,
watch it.
we should have the same rules. Basically, Denmark, Germany, and all the other European countries have very similar rules in basically every single department of anything. I know Germany has like the extra rule of broadcasting.
we
Germany
have
is
insane rules with broadcasting. It's
Germany's
like
always
impossible
strict
to
in
do
every
anything.
aspect.
And
Yeah,
especially, actually, the UK is insanely strict on advertisement for children. Um, like if you advertise like sugar for children, that's illegal. Like it's really interesting. Like in
no
actually
problem.
in the UK they have also special advertisement laws, which I don't know from the top of my head, but and there's, especially because these kind of things is not something which is from like EU laws, but these are just country laws, because there is no EU wide broadcasting stuff.
No.
Because everyone has their like their own national stuff, and like you said, like national TV is in Danish for Danish people, broadcasted through Danish whatever.
Yeah.
And this way they have like, if they fulfill all the Danish laws, it's no problem at all. But if you broadcast to like different countries, and there's also promotion, like you have the German Twitter account, the Spanish, the Italian Pokemon Twitter, who promote this, and I don't know how it works at all, but it seems very complicated, especially even for Germany. Like I think from Limitless we also looked into this whole broadcasting thing, and it's so complicated. And also, a lot of people have problems with Twitch from Germany, and there's so much that can go wrong. And this is why I think it's probably not worth it for Pokemon to take any risk there. But of course, I don't know.
Hey, but
Don't take anything I say for truth. It's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, but something that we haven't talked about yet, what something that teams also promote is like the professional aspect of Pokemon as a whole. Because if you talk to anybody that basically isn't involved with like Pokemon or something similar like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, or even Magic Yu-Gi-Oh people, if you talk about Pokemon, they would say it's for children, it's for small children, and if you talk to anyone, hey, I'm playing Pokemon, like I'm playing the TCG, I'm playing the cards. Isn't that a game for children? And if you would get sponsors, like more publicly, I don't know, whatever, like advertise, especially on stream, if you would have someone on there, like if you could see it's the final of like an international championship, you see someone with a jacket where like there's, I don't know, Red Bull and then there's Limitless below it or something, then immediately people will start taking Pokemon more serious, and they will not be like, oh, it's a children's card game. I mean, of course we have the entire money aspect, but if you go on Twitch right now, or like not right now because there's no tournament going on, but if a tournament is going on that's being live streamed by Pokemon, you click on it, you have no sign of money. You just see two people with cards, one or two angry looking judges in the background, and they're playing a game. You don't know that you didn't know if you would watch the match between Todd and Zachary that they were playing for $10,000. You just don't know. But if you have if you take a look at any like League of Legends Hearthstone tournament, you have sponsors everywhere. You see that's serious. They're probably playing for some big prizes. But for Pokemon, it's like, oh, they're probably playing for like an angry Pikachu plush or something.
Like this one.
I mean, now we have to travel a lot. Sponsors are important for some players. Without sponsors, people can't play or travel. So I think it's important if you want like the good players everywhere. Not just prizes, but they also need sponsor money to get everywhere. And like, it's an expensive hobby. Pokemon. It's not cheap at all.
Yeah, especially now that you basically, if you want to play multiple tournaments a year, you will have to travel, because
You have to travel, yeah.
if you're a Italian local player, you sit at your home and you're like,
You never play.
oh, there's a tournament in Turin in December, I can play this. Oh, no other tournament the entire year, so I
Yeah.
guess I will just have to play League Cups. Oh, never mind, they don't exist in Europe, in other countries than
UK.
UK and the Netherlands. So if you're a player, and also that's something very important to like take note of, because that's something that scares away new players, because they see, okay, I can play one tournament a year if I'm from a country that's not Germany or the UK, and that's it. So why would I start playing this game? And most people, like, realistically, you have 4 quarters of League Cups, you can get 100, okay, you can get 400 CP just from League Cups, but there aren't as many League Cups, and if you are an inexperienced player or something, you will just not do well at too many League Cups if you already don't have a lot of them, and then you have one big tournament in your country. And saying, oh, we lower the invite to 250 points, people will get their invite easily. No, the players that get their invite are the same players as every year. They have been playing like the past couple of years. They were traveling to every tournament in their country, and now they're traveling outside their country. Because basically most player, or I can guarantee that maybe five players at the end of the season will have their invite in Europe that didn't play London. Everyone else at least played London if they get their invite. Because you can't just, or like, okay, UK players probably will, or Dutch players, but actually the Netherlands has no major tournaments, so they only have League Cups. But
With nothing.
someone from Spain, or someone from Italy, someone from the Czech Republic, someone from Denmark, no one that didn't play London or like travels in general will get the invite. I can guarantee you. So it's pointless to lower the invite if you still force people to travel.
You have to travel, you have to fly to different countries. You can't compete with others without.
Yeah, but I would, looking into the future, I would not assume that Pokemon will ever promote this whole sponsorship kind of deal by their own.
They
And
don't have,
from
they
their
don't,
own,
don't
and
have to promote it.
I
They
don't
just have
think
to like
I don't
close the
think this will
eyes
happen
at some
anytime soon.
points.
Well, I mean, we in Memphis we saw what's possible even with Pokemon, like watching the tournaments. I mean, of course, in North America, all tournaments are like organized by different tournament organizers and not like by TPCI. But we also have different organizers in Europe. We have a tournament center, we have Jokmok, we have some
Nobody else.
no, we actually have, because like last
Do we?
year the Danish special event was not organized by Jokmok or
Well, that was my
tournament center.
dad.
Yeah, see, that's still an
Yeah,
organizer.
but that was a special event. All regionals or tournaments are Yakmog. Special events are the only like private
You
organizers.
only have
Especially-
6 regionals. It's not that many.
Special events this year give the same points as regionals, so we will see.
Is Turin also from Tournament Center?
From Pro Italy or something.
It was also from something completely different. It was
Yeah,
not
some-
Jokmok,
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Tournament Center.
No, but for Europe especially now, it's not so developed like in the US. So especially tournament organizers, there are like new tournament organizers are just struggling with getting tables in a hall at some point. I don't want to name any names, but there are like so many other problems. I think Tournament Center would be the only organizer right now who could feel confident enough doing something like this. So I would say that given time, it would probably be in a similar way, like in the US, because it's completely to the organizer. If they want to do this, they can, but it's like a hard thing for them. And for the tournament organizer, the most important thing is to make everyone happy, especially with the times. So as long as they are not 100% confident that they will finish the tournament on time, they will invest everything they have onto let's make this tournament run as fast as possible. And in America, I think they're pretty confident because they have so much experience already with these big tournaments and where everyone is like crazy competitive. But for Europe, we have this for 1.5 years now. So I think tournament organizers just need to kind of get used to it before we get similar stuff.
I think Dortmund last season was the best organized event.
Yeah, but Dortmund is from Amigo, and
Yeah, it was
they
like
don't do tournaments anymore.
they had like a schedule and it was like correct, like from every spot, like when they end, like 7 o'clock in the evening and
Wasn't it
stuff.
like our Amigo like last year in Dortmund?
No,
Wasn't like Amigo dropped the event the day before and then Tournament Center took over or something?
yeah, like 2
It
days
wasn't the day
before.
before. It was
Two-
probably told like very very shortly. But I was staff there, and it was actually fine. And no one knows the reason why. You can only guess, which is not very hard to guess because it's Germany. So it's probably something with law. But Amigo is an insanely serious company who has a lot of different incomes as well. So they also didn't want to take any risk with the tournament. And what I love about Amigo is that they were like just right before Dortmund. They were like perfect. They were always super problematic and always did something really wrong. And then like German nationalists, they got the hold and they're like, this is how Pokemon tournaments work. And then they were like, okay, now do Dortmund. And then before Dortmund, they were like, oh wait, we can't give prize money because it's Germany and we will get in trouble. So we don't want to take the risk. Again, I don't actually know if this is true, but this is what I think because this was also the reason there were no Magic Raw Pre's in Germany. And like, the one they couldn't get actually money. They had to buy them like expensive stuff, and then they gave them the expensive stuff. So they won like the tournament. They're like, okay, yeah. So what do you want us to buy for you? Because yeah, and I probably think for Amigo it was just some kind of weird risk they would need to take, and they were like, we don't want to take this. So Amigo now doesn't do tournaments anymore. But the whole infrastructure and the whole stuff was by Amigo. Like you had 5 people who probably got switched, and then all the judges were
Yeah.
from Amigo, of course.
Venue.
And yeah, everything else, and the whole structure was also they just took it. The worst thing about Dortmund was the staff hotel, and I think no one complained about that. Yeah, but similar with Amigo, we should just give other tournament organizers some time for Europe, I think, and then we can have something like Memphis as well.
Yeah, but
Maybe.
I think
Speaking of that,
I think we don't necessarily have to do like all these things in a row. We can also do them simultaneously because we have very experienced tournament organizers and judges. For example, like you see in Europe, when you have these experienced people like Jasper's parents, like Chetin, if you have them run a tournament, the tournaments run super smooth. You have almost no delays between rounds. You're finished very quickly. Like most tournaments, even with 8 or 9 rounds, end before like 9 or 10 p.m. And then we have tournaments that aren't run by these people that go like midnight or 1 o'clock. So one of these organizers would have to be like willing to take the risk of trying something like this. I mean, we had something like close to it when we had the special event in Vienna last year, which was run by Cardicuno, and they actually were like promoting Limitless as a team because we were giving out like boosters if we lost to people. So that's something, and we also did the stream there. So because the tournament organizer was like open to it, we had the chance to do it. But yeah, on a larger scale, there are probably too many problems still in Europe that have to be fixed because, for example, judges, as David said, they aren't used to judging as so big tournaments. They would.
Did I say this?
Yeah, you were saying that Europe, like in the past 1.5 years, the tournaments got bigger and people aren't used to it. Like you probably said tournament organizers, but it's like judges and
yeah, I said
organizers.
tournament organizers.
It's just both of them.
I will not say anything about judges.
Yeah, but I'm saying it because I'm
Yeah.
free. I'm free to talk. But yeah, because that's something that has to be taken care of because like 2 years ago they were judging regional championships in whatever city with 30 people. Now they have to judge international championships with 600 or whatever, 700 masters.
Yeah.
Or even 800. So that's like something that has to be taken care of. And also Europe is like very slow for every like organizing stuff. We had it last year with the first League Cup quarter. We didn't have a first League Cup quarter. League Cup started in the second quarter, and for example, I know it from like my hometown. There's a league that David was also trying to get like to host league challenges or even League Cups.
But that was actually a different issue.
Yeah,
so it didn't really have anything to do with Pokemon.
Yeah, but everything just takes a long time because in North America you would just say, okay, you're a person you have judged before, you know the game, run the league. And in Europe it's like, oh, you have to own, like you have like you need to have a place, you have to be the owner, and I don't know, so you can't just be a private person hosting League Cups in some store or something. So that's like also something stupid, but yeah, that's also all of these things Europe has to work on, and it's not really our work. We just have to hope that people that are responsible for these kinds of stuff take America in these aspects as an example, try to improve, but that's basically all we can hope for.
Yeah.
Let's talk about teams.
That just before we go over this, just to keep it on the regional like tournament spreading and organizers, I think it's super bad that like I'm probably a bit biased here, but like people like my parents aren't like having a regional in Copenhagen instead of we having a regional in Malmö, where it's just super stupidly placed, and with like in my case, it's obviously perhaps worse organizers. like Nico, David, do you ever think like private persons will ever like host a regional again in Europe, or do you just think it's going to be a tournament center always again?
No, I think everyone has the chance, but it's very complicated to get into. Like for example, yeah, like the Cardicuno thing was a special premiere event and was just from shitty.
Yeah, but that was a
And
special event last year.
yeah, exactly. That was a special event last year, and depending on how it runs, you might get like I mean they have I think they have a TPCI person at every special event who looks how it runs, and then they decide like, yeah, do we give them another big tournament or not? I think at the moment they are very satisfied. Like again, this is just my personal opinion, but I think they're very satisfied with Tournament Center. I also think Tournament Center is doing a great job, so I don't really think you should take too much. Like you don't need to take anything from them. Of course, they should always have like 1-2 different things, and they're trying out. I mean, you see, you have Jokmok, you have I think, yeah, Italy was also by a different person. Then last year you had the Danish special event. Then you had another special event also in Italy, I think. And these were just like different people, and they are slowly like seeing, yeah, what else is there. But competing with Tournament Center will be very hard, especially at this point, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But talking, I think this is a different topic, probably for a different day. Going back to the whole team thing. Looking into the future, which improvements do you think the team structure can make, and in which direction are we heading? Like I already said, I don't believe Pokemon will have anything to do with this at any point in time. Maybe in 10 years or 20 years, but not in the not in the foreseeable future,
Yeah.
So to speak. But there are a lot of other things which happened. You had the Memphis stages, you had like the Cardicuno event, which was also kind of different. Do you think? And also one thing, in Germany, we once had a time where every player who lost against me got 1 booster pack, and every player who won against me got 2 booster packs. And also these kind of things. Do you think
That's
there's any yeah, are we heading, in which direction are we heading, and what do you think can be improved? What will be there in the future?
I guess the most obvious thing is the more organizations that get involved, the bigger the competition. So it's better for the players than the orgs. If there's a very small number of orgs, they can do whatever they want, kind of. So they're like, players are like, well, we have to be on a team to get something, and sometimes it might not be the best conditions or best deals. And so more organizations, I think, if Pokemon ever ends up being a little looser with their streams, which I hope they will, um, then we have a possibility for more sponsors, obviously. And like you said earlier, with the packs and stuff, I think we can move towards that direction if we do like a team stage kind of thing more often, or like I know back when I was first starting in like 2013 or 2012, Six Prizes had a promotion where they were like, if you play against one of our players at a state championship and beat them, we'll give you a dice. So something like that, or like a GX counter, or something people will actually use and like. And I remember that I was a newer player at the time, so I thought that was really cool because he's like, these are the players I look up to, and I was like, if I beat one of them, not only do I beat them, I get a dice to show that I beat them. So something like that, and
It's like a badge.
yeah, and like so in that general thing, I think teams we've grown a lot since when teams started a year ago, and I think the more time we give it, I think next year and a half, we'll have a lot more teams getting involved and a lot more players going for that because it's a cool idea, and I think organizations are kind of slowly realizing it.
Yeah, I also agree. We're definitely like at a starting point. We like as we all like made pretty clear. It basically started 1.5 years ago when Pokemon decided to spend more money. So we're totally at the beginning because if you compare, like, Pokemon has been existing for 20 years. Only 1.5 years you had like professional teams and big tournaments. So that's definitely something Pokemon will eventually, I guess, realize too that teams will have to exist, and we don't have to get to a point where Pokemon necessarily like has a cooperation with any of these teams, but accepting them will happen in the next few years, or maybe even next year, this year, I don't know. That we will be able to wear our jerseys and our whatever on stream. That Pokemon will not be like, okay, teams don't exist, and instead they will be like, okay, teams. Maybe that's not too stupid of an idea. We saw it already at tournaments. The teams can happen and won't influence the game in a bad way. So we can let them like pass as long as they don't like mess up big time. But yeah, like stuff like TPCI really working with teams, that also I agree with David, will probably not happen in the next 10 or 20 years, but like accepting them will definitely be a very big step for Pokemon.
I think it's not a coincidence that teams started 1.5 years ago. Like, it's when the regionals with the money started, right? People want to travel to all the regionals to compete with the best players. I think Pokemon wants it as well. They pay like the best players in each region to compete. So Pokemon wants the best players at every tournament, but people still need money to go to the tournaments, right? So that's why they get sponsors to get it done. Like if you get a stipend for Australia, top 16, it doesn't cover like half of the costs to get there, right? So you need to have money from different sources. And if you don't have a job, you're probably not even going because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if Pokemon wants the game to grow, they want the players to travel everywhere and to play. So they need to give the players the opportunity to get some money from different sources with playing Pokemon. So I think Pokemon should like change it a bit. They don't have to change a lot, but they have to like allow teams to exist and sponsors to exist as well. Like,
Yeah. One last like small topic we basically skipped when we talked about teams first, which Benji like pretty much mentioned by saying other sources of income, is coaching. Also something that started popping out more and more recently with teams. In Europe, it's not really a thing, but in North America, I know a lot of the good players are offering coaching, and maybe Raul can
hmm
like say something how the whole coaching started, and yeah, what's your
I
like
did it.
experience with it?
So I guess coaching wasn't like the newest concept, but there was very few players that wanted to do it, um, because it didn't really like there was really no return because nobody would really pay that much, and it was a lot of time to, I guess, teach newer players what's going on and explain the fundamentals of the game. But more recently, because of all the money that's been involved, a lot of parents who have juniors and seniors, they want their juniors and seniors to be good, obviously. So if you're a parent taking your kid to, I guess, say from America to like London for the IC, like you want to make sure your kid does well. You don't want your kid to just show up and get beat by everyone else. So it's the same as like when you're a kid and your parents put you in like football coaching or like piano or something like that. Like you've tutor, simple stuff. So that's been popping up more and more, and I guess like the most popular player that okay, so Jay and Zach Lasage started a thing called the Poke Academy, and they hired a bunch of players to kind of help out. And one sec, and they kind of wanted people to just wanted people to help out and do stuff for them. And it was like myself, Keon, and a couple other players. And originally, it was I think the deal was like minimum wage in our respective countries. So like I would be our states, so I'd be getting like $10, and I'm like $10 seems pretty good for coaching. Like I don't have to do it that often. My students are given to me, like it's not that big of a deal. And then I got individually approached by a parent, and they were like, "We'll give you like 25, 30," and I'm like, "Oh, that's really what?" And I was like, "That's kind of ridiculous." And so I was like, "I can kind of do my own thing." And then more recently, I talked to people like Pablo Mesa, who makes a complete living off of Pokemon. Um, and other players who do coaching. And for them, like I think the only two players I know off the top of my head that make a complete living off Pokemon are Caleb Gedimer and Pablo Mesa. And for them, they coach like 10, 15 students a week, and like they do like 2 hours or something a week. So it's like they're basically working like 30 to 40 hour weeks for a pretty decent salary that doesn't get taxed because it's going through PayPal most of the time, and it's not like a big deal.
We didn't hear
Um,
that.
yeah, there's things going on in my house. But then, yeah, so coaching's become more and more popular because of all the people that want their kids to be doing well, and a lot of the newer players are coming in too because of the money, because of the bigger attendance, and this year's ease of invite is much easier to get than previous years, and because of that, players want to do good. They want to get their invite. Like, for example, I have a guy who just wanted 1 hour of coaching because he has a League Cup coming up and he was unsure about his deck and how it would fare in the current meta, just to talk about that kind of like basic matchups and that kind of stuff. Like, it's not the big, and like, I guess to go into a little bit of what people do for coaching, I think what a majority of what I do is I'll actually just play against my students, I guess, and I'll have them show me their hands and kind of ask why they made the plays they made and kind of get them to think about it more than anything. Because like a lot of the time, it's like the biggest difference separating like newer players to like better players is just fundamentally understanding why and when to do things. It's just a timing thing. So it's like if you can teach them holding resources, that kind of stuff, it works better. And I guess now teams have kind of realized that they can use their big names as an approach to get a little bit of money. So they'll put it up on their website, like, oh, coaching from like Benji, $25, and it'll be like they take $5, you get 20, and like it's not a bad deal for you because you're up on the team website. Doesn't matter, and you can do it based on your own timings. Like it's never like I have to coach this person at this time. It's like I have the time, I have the flexibility. If I can't coach this week, sucks for them, but like I'm busy, I have a life too, Like during one of my finals week, I couldn't coach my kids because I had final exams and it was a week before Memphis, so I couldn't get to some of them.
So do you guys think coaching will become more of a thing in Europe, and do you like coaching, like the concept?
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I don't know anyone who would pay for it. Having the option is good.
It makes more sense to pay it for now because of the money.
I have a little bit experience of it because like before Worlds I had like a few students actually. I got paid like $10-15 an hour or an hour and a half kind of, and went fairly. It's a thing you have to like get into before it feels like kind of right. I don't know if there's any parents willing to pay for it in Europe.
I think they will. I've been asked actually a couple of times already.
Coaching by Benji.
To coach, but
that would be the greatest thing. I would pay so much money.
I don't know.
I'm gonna
Benji, you listening to them? They'll pay money, dude.
It's about time. It's not about money.
You're still win with some crabby Mega deck.
Yeah, but like in America, you have I think more people willing to pay for it, and also you don't have language barrier, so you have a lot of people to choose from. Yeah. But I think this is a great option, which people shouldn't sleep on, because especially like Benji said, there probably are a few people actually want this, and especially if you speak like 2 languages, you always have a bigger pool from people to choose from.
Or free.
Or 3. Or not German like Jesper, who doesn't speak German.
My German's super nice, huh?
No.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think looking forward, that coaching is something which will be in Europe as well. And what is also great is that actually like the system itself is very easy. Like you just tell someone what's your Skype and then you get started. So you have like a competition. So you have people like trying to make the best out of it, and so you get like you can get a really great experience. I think you can. I don't know if you can see this happen in America. I think probably the people are just like, who is the best player? Is it possible to pay him? And then they start thinking right there. But if you have like actual cool stuff, yeah, that would also be a great option for improvement, just to have a bunch of different people who try to compete with each other.
I think the number 1 in Europe is the only player that actually gives coaching.
Who?
We're just Stort. I think
Oh,
he's the only.
He's
I think
starting
he's.
coaching.
I think he's the
Pokemon
only
Heroes.
one.
He's starting to coach after New Year's.
Yeah, but Thor
Yeah,
is
but-
also like a legend.
Thor's
Yeah.
almost American at this point. We don't
Yeah,
care.
but I think
He's
I
gonna
think
move
the
to you
thing
at some
with the thing
point.
with Todd is probably just that he's very well known in America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he won 2 internets. He's kind of well known.
I mean,
He's not known at all, huh?
No, but
Who's
I
the
mean,
guy?
everyone in Europe knew him before
Yeah,
this
but now
season even. Like I got people like I think that was 2014, and I got paired against Thor, and everyone was like, "Oh, crazy! I have to play against Thor." And like it all in Europe, he's already been known pretty
yeah,
well.
of course.
yeah. He won like 6 nationals in a row. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
But-
pretty good.
But now he's also popular in America, and I can assume that he has a lot of people.
I don't
from
think he's
America
popular though.
just-
I think.
I
he's
mean, like I already said, if you're a parent who wants to get coach, you just go through the list of the best player, like who's the best player we can get, and
Yeah.
if the best player, like if they just see Tord with the unlimited CP, and they're like, oh great, he offers coaching, so why not?
It makes a lot of
Remember-
sense for a poker parent to pay for coaching, actually, if you can travel to tournaments. Because if you have a good junior, it will pay off eventually.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yep.
you invest in like the knowledge for your kid, then it will
Yeah.
pay off. For example, if you like now in top 4 for like the Sydney stipend,
Yes.
you will travel to Australia for free because you paid a bit of coaching to get your kid good in a game that he hopefully likes, and it's not forced.
If he
to
doesn't
play
like it,
to-
that would be very sad.
I've heard stories of children getting forced to play because their parents want them, so it's not too
That's-
far away.
That's gonna be like my
Yeah,
brother's
no.
kids.
No, that's like you. I bet you're forced.
Hey, at every tournament, Jesper is just there suffering, like I don't want to.
I just
shuffle,
sitting
I
like a
don't- I
slave.
hate
My
cards."
dad's like, my dad just standing with a whip and be like, "You got
That's why his parents are at our tournaments just to watch him, and they always have a whip with them, and they're like, "You know what's coming, Jesper? You better win this one."
So I have like
Um,
a question
that
for you
again.
guys. I have like a question. Like top 22 in each category from Europe will get like the world trip paid. Do you know what the cutoff was for juniors last season? How many CP?
For
250. Or
Any
more.
guesses? Other guesses?
I think like 300.
125.
This is like 300.
Yeah,
300 is
300.
like it's like the cutoff to get to worlds, and you get your parents with you. It's
Was
like
it,
it's
was
like
it even
worth
the
it.
invite? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
an invite.
actually, funny story about juniors. We had a kid from Copenhagen where he could go to a League Cup in like the middle of the country. It's like 2-hour drive only. And if he went to that League Cup, he would have gone top 22.
Yeah.
While I was being in US, the kid's dad wrote to the league leader who was sitting with me at the dinner table and was like, "Yeah, does it make a difference if my kid is like number 20 or number 26 in rankings?" Just go like, "No."
I don't know, but like it was like 300 after the boost of League Cup points and special event points and regionals points. So you get 20 seconds, 300
God, the
points.
boost sucked.
It was so fun. It was funny because you can win just 6 League Cups and you get like top 22 already in juniors. So
Yeah.
coaching is like really worth it to do it for a junior or senior. Because also if you like make money at the regionals, for example, it's already you paid for it already.
Yeah, and junior seniors, just because of the reallocation of the money, they're guaranteed getting a lot more money if they do well.
They get a ton of money.
I think like all the players in the internet already get $3 or something, like $2,
Yeah.
like for playing. Imagine if you do well.
Imagine just like last year we had the instance with Kaya, like the junior here. Like she won international.
junior.
What? Yeah.
She won 2
That's
internationals.
junior.
Yeah, but she won like. Imagine like, if maybe Masters got a pay rise, in terms of the money with juniors and seniors, because like, giving a junior $10,000 might seem like a little much.
Yeah,
I don't think they get it.
Or even money at all for winning worlds, that like wasting money.
Is it even actually?
I'll take
But
my
I
25K
think
any
that's
day.
that's again like whatever. Pokemon can do with their money what they think is right. But the whole
it may-
coaching thing is, I don't like. I think this is a thing that will evolve and also get better. And you will have it's similar with what's happening now on the internet as well. You have a lot of services which just charge you a lot of money for whatever, and they have to compete with the whole internet. And for Pokemon coaching, it's probably the same. In the US now they can compete with each other, and in Europe I think people will start doing that as well.
It makes sense, right? It's not
Yeah,
hard to set up.
one other thing which I before we were talking about the coaching, which I found also interesting, like which I said, like, we're looking into the future. What do you think will change? This will probably be one of the things, but what also is popping up now a lot is like these just information sites. You have like Pokestats, then you have the Limitless site who's also trying to collect a lot,
Sure,
and making sense out of this is also something which will probably rise. You have the Arcane R9 laboratory thing from Memphis, which just had like all deck lists and literally
Arcanine.
all information available. Yeah, exactly.
Arcanine. Oh, it's like a Pokemon. Oh,
Yeah, I know, but I didn't know how to pronounce whatever. But
You just say Arcanine.
Yeah,
They
I think-
also have like Arcanine on their like logo or something.
yeah, but I mean they had this great stuff, and also like streams from non-official. I think in the US they also have this quite often. If there is no official Pokemon stream, they have like a little stream. And in Europe, it's also we had streams for Vienna and Copenhagen and Bremen as well,
And Liverpool.
and Liverpool. And I think this is also something which can improve. The first thing I actually thought about when with the whole team stage thing in Memphis, and I was like, do they actually have cameras for all table?
No.
And I was just hoping like it would be great if they just had like for
Yeah,
each table one
if you have
camera
5 different
and you could
streams
just
at one moment.
and you can just look there, and I think this is something which might improve as well, that just you have like multiple tables who are being streamed, so you can just check like, yeah, this round who's playing against whom, and then just check which table is doing what. This is something I think not necessarily will happen, but I would find great.
I don't think it's hard to do, right?
You,
I see all mouth moving, but
yeah,
The
he's
more
talking to
cables.
someone.
It's more cables, and it's more.
It's a lot more cams, and that's like the
It's
Yeah, but
more.
the
It's more
team themselves
cables
would-
and
you
can
more
handle it, right?
camera.
you just need new setups for everything. You just need like new laptops basically, because I don't think you can like open 10 OBS applications on one.
I mean, you can probably take 4 cameras and kind of work with it. But yeah, it would. I mean, it would be an expensive thing. But if the whole self stream gets on a certain level where we aren't yet, I think this is then the next step. So you have like always table 1. You can always see table 1. What's going on at the best table, without commentary, just to see like whatever. And then also you have one selected table with the interesting matchup or interested player, which is being streamed.
I mean, instead of a backup stream, it would be nice if you have like 2 streams at one moment. right?
Exactly, yeah. Like, I mean, you could in theory for the
It's
TPI stream,
possible.
they will not do it, but you could always have just the camera for the second stream always on, so you can always see like what's going on there.
Like in Dota, we have like 6 streams at one moment at the
Yeah,
international.
that's
Yeah.
that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, Rahul, I think you weren't listening, but I was saying like,
Oh, yeah, I was on the
no,
phone, sorry.
I mean, you couldn't. So I was saying like the first thing I thought about when I saw Memphis, like all team players
The
had
team
always
stages?
the same table, and I thought, yeah, you could just put like a camera on each table, and
Oh,
then
that would
put
have
it,
been so
yeah,
cool.
put it like either on the hall so people could spectate there, and you had like a crowd, and they could look at the table they want to see, and also if you stream this, you could also just like check what are the top tables, which decks are playing at the top tables now. And you could choose like, who do I want to watch now? It wouldn't be with commentary.
Kind of like a
And I-
Skycam.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought this would be great. And I think this is something which might come with with the unofficial streams. If you have, they will not do so many official streams for each region. I don't think this, but
I've,
if you have like unofficial streams and it gets on a certain level, I don't know anything about the unofficial streams in America, how well they actually work. But in Europe, it's not so crazy. Also, the tournament organizers, like I already said, are prioritizing other things, which make more sense from their perspective. But if we improve a bit, and then we have like always 2 cameras or maybe always 2 streams, and then maybe 3 or 4, so you can always see like the best 4 tables, always see who's playing there now and which decks.
Yeah.
This is my vision for the future.
I know for unofficial streams, usually it's just grassroots and everybody does their own thing. I heard a big rumor recently that I don't know if it applies to Europe as well, but I know that I heard that NA regionals are not going to be streamed anymore by Pokemon because they want to take all the effort and put it into ICs. Is what I've heard. Because ICs is like the big bread and bones. And last year Australia didn't have a stream, and Brazil's stream was like third party, and it was all Portuguese, so stuff like that. So I think
Australia will have a stream this year
Australia's going to have a stream. I've heard that for sure.
on Pokemon, or
That's the rumor, yeah, on the rumor mill. I don't know who.
It's like 1 month away. Why would they not announce it if it's already?
I think they're deciding who to send out.
Puka. We want Puka.
I think they're trying to do like a mix between both the EU and the NA.
David, Australia right now. Oh.
I will not comment on Australia.
You can be the table judge.
And first.
We need a table judge.
That's all I've heard. I've heard that they're going to try to take it away from regionals because ICs, I guess, are bigger for them, which would make sense. But if that means if you give it to regionals to the smaller people, they can do what they want and they can kind of be creative. And I mean, and anyone who's doing a grassroots stream obviously wants to be part of like the official stream team. So they want to do the best job they can, obviously. So you give that to them and you let them kind of get creative, and the inherent competition is going to make people think out of the box and do cool stuff like David said, like the sky cams, the individual stream things. Like one, I think it was the Meta podcast or whatever, came early on Memphis to do to stream the team tournament we did. Granted, it was just like, you missed it?
Yeah.
Don't worry, dude. It was awful. I had to. The rules were stupid. I was in the middle of attacking with Lycanroc, and they were like, "Rule: if you have a fighting Pokemon in the active, discard it." And I was like, "Oh, cool." All right.
Sounds like Professor Cup.
Yeah, it literally. Yeah. That's how he tried to do. He was like Professor Cup with like a little more crazy rules, and I'm like, okay.
More crazy? What?
There was like
Professor
50
Cup,
rules.
Like I played against Vikavolt, and then they were like, now every basic energy is 2 basic energies.
Oh
and
god.
I was playing Psyduck, like Golduck. I was playing Golduck Starmie, and my opponent flips over Pinsir, which deals 50 for 2 grass energies. He's like, attach grass energy, knockout. This is like insane. And then there were like people with Passimian, and the special rule, you only have 2 bench Pokemon.
Oh.
And then,
What are the
every
special rules?
Passimian player during that round just lost.
I was in the middle of a Bridget, and the rule was, you can look through your deck and get as many basic Pokemon, put them on your bench, and I was like, oh come on, man.
Let's put the Bridget. I thought Champ Jen had like 10 prizes or something. Like,
Yeah, and then one of them was like, if you have a Pokemon with an ability, shuffle it into your prizes. So Jimmy lost on the spot because he was playing Decidueye Zoroark, and he had to shuffle all his Decidueye Zoroark lines as the prizes. And he was like, well,
Just imagine you bench out because of that. So it's like, oh, there we go.
But like just things like that, you put that on stream, you get more publicity. Like I know a lot of people were like came Friday evening still to come watch that, and like I thought it was pretty cool because I didn't think people would come out and watch that even. It was just like a lame
I do
little.
like the battle of the teams actually. We should do that somewhere else.
If we have somebody who can actually organize them properly, that'd be very fun to do.
Like Europe against NA, I want to see that.
Well, we had the chance at London.
But
Yeah.
unfortunate things happened. So
Everyone died from sickness.
exactly.
I'm still sick, by the way. I'm just still coughing.
I wasn't invited, so I don't care.
Yeah, but like in general, I think what also like the team tournament showed that there's a lot more possibility, especially for teams, to do stuff to promote the game outside of tournaments, like do something the day before, do something on Sunday maybe, and like as we saw like already 5 years ago or 6 years ago even at Worlds, like with the Top Cut Invitational, just stuff after the or
Yeah.
before the actual tournament, just so that you can you see your favorite players a little bit more, to just promote the game and show also not like only the competitive side of playing in a tournament, but also the fun side of what's like possible outside of tournaments, and that people still are willing to entertain and come up with new stuff outside of them.
I really want to stream a cube draft.
Ooh,
It's one of
yeah.
my
Let's do
dreams.
it.
Like I was thinking of like rules. I was thinking like you could just make a cube draft with like really old cards and just say everything is a basic Pokemon. So you have like the very old stage 2s, which are just about as strong as the new basic Pokemon. So you can just put all of them into one. But I would need a concept and some time for this.
I
But
think
this is
Puka
one of
always
my
does,
dreams. Just
does cube
just
draft, right? So
cube drafts stream with
Cube-
like interesting rules or whatever.
cube drafting takes insanely long. Just
Yeah.
building the decks is like 2 hours or something. That's
Yeah, I was thinking about different things, how to make it like faster. So I thought like if you have only basic Pokemon and get like 10, like get you like some Rainbow Energies or some Holy Magnemites, and you just draft like your deck. So you don't get to swap out anything. You don't build your deck. You just draft, and then your deck is ready afterwards. These kind of things, but that's a different story for another day.
maybe that's something you will see on Limitless stream next time.
Maybe soon, or not. But I think now we are at the end of this discussion.
Yeah, I think I'm
Yeah.
through with
We pretty
everything
much-
I want to talk about. Does any one of you have something he wants to say? No?
No.
Okay.
we've talked about.
Limitless TCG, praise team and world, blah blah blah. Go.
You thought, kid.
The real CCG.
CCG. CCG.
Both
EU,
CCGs better.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so weird that there are two CCG teams.
Yeah, but they,
There was
that's
gonna be a
best of,
third. There was a ARG was actually gonna name themselves CCG Marketplace.
What?
What the fuck?
Yeah. And I literally am friends with like Pram and them, so I literally messaged Pram. I'm like, dude, do you know how bad of an idea that would be to have a third CCG?
Yeah, I mean,
And he was like, yes, I'm talking to our owner.
I want to have 3
I
CCG.
mean, I was already confused when I heard the name No Limit Gaming for the first time. I was like, they were making fun of us. Like, are they making fun of Limitless?
Just imagine like
We
this is
have no
actually the
limits.
reason I call it like.
Here are the team names. Yeah.
So I guess we're done here.
Is that how we end? We're done here.
Now it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Bye.
Oh, but
Say something.
Shout outs and stuff.
I
Just
think that
Just to make some fun.
any further questions can be commented on the video that we're posting here. Because that will actually create perhaps a future discussion that we can have.
Yes.
Yeah, would be nice to see people getting involved in it, to not just have the opinion of us five, but like also people that are not like taking part in teams, just in general.